Have you ever wondered how a peaceful nation spirals into a global humanitarian crisis? Let's look at Syria, once a bustling and vibrant country, now a land ravaged by a prolonged civil war. The onset of the Syrian crisis was marked by peaceful protests in 2011, inspired by the wider Arab Spring. These demonstrations, demanding political reform and freedom, were met with a brutal crackdown by the government, sparking a civil war that continues to this day. This war, like a wildfire, has spread destruction throughout the country. Cities once teeming with life are now reduced to rubble. The nation's rich culture and history, encapsulated in its museums, libraries, and architectural marvels, now lie in ruins. But the physical destruction is just one part of the crisis. The human toll is even more heart-wrenching. Millions of Syrians forced to flee their homes are now living as refugees in foreign lands. Families have been torn apart, children have been orphaned, and countless lives have been lost. And then there's the humanitarian crisis. With the infrastructure in shambles, basic necessities like food, water, and medicine are scarce. Hospitals are overwhelmed and under-resourced, struggling to cope with the onslaught of casualties. Their education system is in ruins, robbing an entire generation of their right to learn and grow. The Syrian crisis, like a dark cloud, casts a long and ominous shadow on the global stage. It's a stark reminder of how quickly a nation can descend into chaos when conflict and violence take hold. It's a testament to the devastating ripple effects of civil unrest, political instability, and human rights abuses. But Syria is not alone. There are other countries, each with their own unique challenges and crises, that are also grappling with the harsh realities of conflict, poverty, and displacement. The situation in Syria paints a grim picture of how quickly a nation can plunge into chaos. But Syria is not alone. We are living in a world where the threads of peace are fraying and the fabric of humanity is being tested like never before. When we cast our gaze to Yemen, Venezuela, South Sudan, and Somalia, we see a similar pattern of despair. In the Middle East, Yemen stands as a poignant example of the devastation that conflict can wreak. Its citizens grapple with severe food insecurity and healthcare challenges, their lives overshadowed by one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. The echoes of their struggle reverberate across the globe, serving as a stark reminder of the human cost of war. Across the Atlantic, we find Venezuela, a nation that once boasted of its wealth, now spiraling into economic collapse. Hyperinflation and political instability have led to widespread shortages of basic necessities, a stark contrast from its oil-rich past. The Venezuelan crisis underscores the fragile nature of economies and the devastating impact of political discord. Moving to the African continent, South Sudan, the world's youngest nation, presents a distressing reality. Despite gaining independence in 2011, the country is ensnared in ongoing conflict, leading to food insecurity and humanitarian crises. South Sudan's struggle is a sobering example of how political instability can derail a nation's progress, leaving its citizens caught in the crossfire. Further east, Somalia, a country plagued by political instability, terrorism, droughts, and famine, continues to grapple with humanitarian crises. The resilience of its people, however, is awe-inspiring as they strive to rebuild their nation amid these challenges. These four nations, though separated by geography, share a common thread of despair. Conflict, political instability, and economic collapse have led to food insecurity and shortages of basic necessities. The distressing conditions in Yemen, Venezuela, South Sudan, and Somalia underscore the interconnectedness of our world and the ripple effects that crises in one region can have on the global stage. Yet, amid the hardships, there is also resilience, a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity. The challenges are immense, but so too is our capacity for empathy, understanding, and action. These nations, each grappling with their unique challenges, are a testament to the multifaceted nature of humanitarian crises. Afghanistan and Haiti, despite their geographical distance, share a common narrative of struggle and survival. Imagine a country that sits at the crossroads of Asia and the Middle East. This is Afghanistan, a nation that has been grappling with decades of conflict. The issues it faces are numerous and complex: insecurity, poverty, and corruption, to name just a few. The country has been locked in a seemingly endless cycle of violence and unrest. with the consequences rippling through every aspect of Afghan society. Insecurity is a daily reality for many Afghans, with the threat of violent conflict a constant backdrop to life. Poverty is also widespread, with millions living below the poverty line. Corruption, meanwhile, is a persistent issue, undermining trust in public institutions and hampering efforts to promote development and stability. Now, let's shift our gaze to the Caribbean, where Haiti, the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, is grappling with its own challenges. Natural disasters, from devastating earthquakes to catastrophic hurricanes, have repeatedly battered this small nation. The impact of these disasters is amplified by Haiti's inadequate infrastructure, which struggles to withstand such shocks and hampers recovery efforts. Poverty is a pervasive issue in Haiti as well, with over half of the population living under the poverty line. Political instability only compounds these problems, with frequent changes in government and widespread corruption exacerbating the country's difficulties. Despite these struggles, the people of Afghanistan and Haiti show remarkable resilience. They continue to strive for a better future, facing each new challenge with determination and courage. But the struggles of these two nations are not unique. They are part of a larger narrative shared by countries around the world, each grappling with its own set of challenges. Whether it's conflict, poverty, corruption, or natural disasters, these issues test the resilience of communities and nations alike. These nations remind us that crises are not confined to war zones alone. They can strike anywhere, anytime. In the heart of Africa and Far East Asia, the Central African Republic, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and North Korea face their unique set of challenges. Let's begin with the Central African Republic. This nation has been marked by persistent conflict and violence, which has led to widespread displacement of its people. Political instability is a constant menace, and the country grapples with a humanitarian crisis that seems almost insurmountable. The rampant poverty paints a bleak picture of a nation in desperate need of stability and development. Shifting our focus to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, we find a nation blessed with vast natural resources, yet struggling with conflict and political instability. Corruption is a significant hurdle, impeding progress in healthcare and education sectors. Despite its potential, the country is stuck in a vicious cycle of underdevelopment, poverty, and civil unrest. Now let's move to Far East Asia, where we find North Korea, a nation known for its oppressive regime and isolation from the international community. The lack of basic freedoms and economic struggles are a part of daily life for North Koreans. Despite the regime's efforts to portray an image of strength and prosperity, the reality is starkly different. The nation's citizens face significant challenges in their quality of life, living under a system that prioritizes military might and political control over human development and individual freedoms. Each of these nations, though geographically and culturally distinct, share common threads of struggle. Conflict and political instability create a breeding ground for corruption, economic struggles, and a lack of basic freedoms. These issues, in turn, contribute to a cycle of poverty and underdevelopment, exacerbating the humanitarian crises they face. These nations show us that crises can be as much about political and economic struggles as they are about conflict and destruction. Indeed, the troubles in the heart of Africa and Far East Asia remind us that the path to peace and prosperity is often fraught with challenges that require global attention and concerted action. As we've journeyed through these nations, we've seen the many faces of humanitarian crises. From Syria, ravaged by prolonged civil war, to Yemen, grappling with a devastating conflict and severe food insecurity. We've seen the economic collapse and political instability in Venezuela and the ongoing conflict and food insecurity in South Sudan. Somalia, plagued by political instability, terrorism, droughts, and famine, continues to grapple with challenges that seem insurmountable. Afghanistan, despite enduring decades of conflict, still struggles with insecurity, poverty, and corruption. Haiti, beset by natural disasters, poverty, political instability, and inadequate infrastructure, grapples with providing a decent standard of living for its people. In the heart of Africa, the Central African Republic faces conflict, violence, political instability, and widespread poverty. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, despite its vast natural resources, confronts persistent conflict, political instability, and corruption. And in the Far East, North Korea, known for its oppressive regime and isolation, presents significant challenges for its citizens' quality of life. These are not isolated incidents or individual country problems. They are threads in a global tapestry of humanitarian crises woven together by conflict, political instability, economic collapse, and shortages of basic necessities. These crises touch every corner of our world, affecting millions of lives, disrupting societies, and challenging our collective humanity. But there is hope. International intervention and support play a vital role in mitigating these crises. Aid organizations, governments, and individuals alike have the power to make a difference. Through collective action, we can provide relief, foster resilience, and build a better future for those affected. In the end, it's not just about understanding these crises, but about taking action. It's about recognizing that we are all part of a global community and that these problems are our problems. We have the power to make a difference. The question is, are we ready to step up? Humanitarian crises, as we've seen, are a global issue that requires our collective action. The question is, are we ready to step up?